Here we are, guys. Rule 12 of Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. Or at least the first 12. Pet a cat or a dog when you encounter one on the street. First of all, welcome to another video. I'm Ann Blackwood, your Silicon Valley sage sister, here to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. And I hope that I can do that for you today with these two little takeaways from chapter 12, rule 12 of the first of two of Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, this one being an antidote to chaos. If you've enjoyed this and would like me to do Beyond Order 12 More Rules for Life, Jordan Peterson's second 12 Rules for Life book, let me know in the comments. So there are many things that Jordan Peterson talks about in this chapter, and I think some of them he talks about to sort of wrap up other stories that he's talked about. But if there were two main takeaways that I got from this book, the two that I talk about here are, I feel, the most important, even though listening to the stories themselves that he talks about in this chapter are just as important to illustrate other points that he does share. The first one is what this rule is all about, which he talks about only a little bit at the end, which is learning to, when you're presented with them, take these little moments in life that can bring you joy and happiness, actually take them. And not just take them, but find more ways to have them in your life. Whether that's stopping to pet a dog or a cat on the street, having a cup of coffee at your favorite coffee shop, just walking outside in general. As I like to remind people, life in general, but anything big we consider big, is made up of little things. And so when we can make sure that we're living our life with presence of mind to have these little moments of joy, our life as a whole will be filled with more joy. And so it's important to recognize that every day we are presented with an opportunity to have these little moments, just these little moments of petting a cat, petting a dog, doing something that you enjoy just for that moment, that will as a whole make up your life and will make sure that your life is made up of more moments of joy and happiness than anything else. One of the other things that he talks about is a Taoist philosophy, and it's one that has always struck me because it's fascinating to think about. And it is this idea that, for instance, a pot is not valuable because of the clay that it's made out of. A pot is valuable because of the empty space in which it has to hold things. When we can start looking at this concept as a broader concept, something like this cup is valuable for the empty space that it has to hold things, not necessarily anything else. Now we can have value, add value when it comes to what it's made of, sure, because whether or not it's going to be able to hold things for long is determined by what it's made out of. But as a whole, it's the whole that makes the value, the window that lets the light into the room, the door that makes the room accessible. the limitations that we have, the things that we consider flaws in us, when we can realize that those bring just as much value into our lives as anything else, we can start to realize that we truly are lovable for all of who we are. And we don't have to, at any given moment, hate part of ourselves to love another. We can learn to appreciate our limitations and our flaws as what makes us who we are. And when we can do that, we can start to love all of ourselves, rather than feeling like we have to throw out part of ourselves to truly love the other part of ourselves. Because there is never a point, never, ever, 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 ever. There is never, ever, ever. I want to really punctuate this with the word ever. Never, ever, ever. There is never a point, if you're watching this video, because I'm sure we could all argue about where there are times where there are bad people. Put a pause on that. Because yeah, if we always had to state the times where the exception proves the rule, we'd be caught up in a bunch of pointless conversation. But I'm gonna put money on the fact, be willing to put money on the fact, that if you're watching this video, there is never a time where you have anything about yourself that is unlovable. Even if you don't realize why it deserves love, why it is lovable, why it helps you. But I guarantee you it does. I bet you can think of something right now. I bet you can think of one thing that just popped into your head when I said the word unlovable. What is that one thing? What is that one thing that when you hear unlovable, you think, oh, well, this is an unlovable part of me? What is that one thing? Because I'm here to tell you right now that that part of you deserves just as much love as the rest of you, and does not need to be gotten rid of. It might be something you want to be mindful of. It might be something that you want to, I don't know, keep in check, so to speak. But it is just as much a part of what makes you worthy, great, powerful, empowered, lovable, worthy, capable, as the rest of you does. Whatever word fits there grammatically. So the next time you find yourself criticizing yourself, ask yourself, is this thing that I'm doing something that I need to criticize myself for? Is this thing that I'm doing something that I actually need to get rid of? Because you might find sometimes you are better off not doing something. But as I like to remind people, we are not what we do. We do things. We are not things. So, there is a difference between what we do and who we are. And all of who we are is worthy and capable and lovable. So, when it comes to the things that we do, sure, there might be some things that we want to stop doing. There might be some things that we do that we wish we did differently. But if we did them differently up to now, we wouldn't be who we are. And we are exactly where we need to be right now, while always leaving the door open for more and better. So, don't get so down on yourself for who you are, what you do. Instead, figure out what your priorities are. Figure out what your values are. So you can figure out what your boundaries need to be. So you can figure out what it is that you need to do to move forward to better, rather than staying stuck where you are, if you are unsatisfied with where you are. But I can guarantee you that that doesn't change, that doesn't require change of who you are. Because who you are is good as you are right now. You don't have to change any part of yourself to move forward to better. You don't have to change who you are to start right now, doing more, doing better, doing your best, living up to your ability to achieve excellence, your best, rather than this idea of unattainable perfection. So, remember, when you have the opportunity to stop and slow down, even for just a moment, to add some joy to your life, do it. Do it. Can't hurt. It can only help. Because when we follow our joy, that is what manifests our best life. And secondly, when you are feeling bad about yourself, I want you to take an inventory. Usually I only do these, I leave these kinds of exercises for Patreon. But I want you to do something for me the next time you're feeling bad about yourself. The next time you're feeling bad about yourself, I want you to make a list of the things that you feel aren't good about yourself, that you're unhappy with. And then I want you to ask yourself, is this something that you consider a flaw or a limitation, something that also brings you good things in your life? For instance, I have the ability to spot in others the things that are less than healthy. And if I offer unsolicited advice about those things, I can get some gnarly feedback. And when I say feedback, I mean frustration, upset, anger. But this same ability of mine makes me able to, or is my tool, my superpower, when it comes to helping my clients. I just have to make sure that when I spot these things in others, that I don't go around sharing them with people who don't want to hear about them. And yeah, I will admit that there are times where I can't help myself. There are times where I see somebody who I feel like, even though they have not asked for my advice, I feel like it is important to share with them what I'm seeing, because even if they cannot digest it now, it will be there in the back of their mind. But that is very rare. Otherwise, I'm very careful not to go around sharing unsolicited advice based on the things that I see in others that are unhealthy or unhappy. I learned a very long time ago that if I called someone out for something that they were doing wrong, and when I say wrong, I don't mean wrong according to me. I mean wrong according to their own priorities and values and what they say they want their life to be like. When I do that unsolicited, when I call people out on their shit, and they haven't asked me to do so, people get mad. But I can also use that power for good. So, my powers of observation, yeah, they can get me in trouble when I'm not mindful of them and how I express them outwardly. But they are also my superpower and my purpose in life, to help others end the cycles of suffering in their lives by helping them become healthier, happier, grow, and expand their consciousness. And I help a lot of people because of that, as long as I make sure that they reach out to me and ask for help first. Which is why I end all of my videos with letting people know that my one-on-one books are open. That if you would like to sign up for a free clarity call to ask me any questions about working with me one-on-one, you can do so. Otherwise, I have my session packages that are all open and available right now. That commits you to a certain number of sessions, and then how often we work together and what we work on is personalized and customized to you. And why I talk about Patreon, because Patreon is another way that people can work with me if they're not ready to work with me one-on-one, or if they'd like to work with me just once a month. And that has all of my exclusive videos, journal exercises, guided meditations, my intuitive lifestyle course, which is the basis of what I do with my clients one-on-one, in the beginning especially, as well as other little workshops and things. I recommend for those who don't want to be a sanctuary member that you choose either the ascending or enlightening tier, because the ascending tier has everything the awakening tier has to offer, plus all of my courses and workshops. It's got everything you could possibly want or get out of my Patreon for just $23 a month. And then my enlightening tier gives you that once a month session with me, as well as everything the ascending and awakening tier has to offer. And then if you're really red-pilled, if you are an OG conspiracy theorist, if you are awake, not woke, the Sanctuary of the Awakened is definitely for you. And that is, I need to look this up. It's either $32 or $33 a month. I can't remember which. And that gives you everything the ascending and awakening tier has to offer, plus all of the sanctuary content, and is my VIP group. So you get access to our Slack chat to communicate as a group, which I'm still building that up, but I'm excited to be building that up because I want all of us to be able to have conversations about things, worldly things, personal things, in a place where we all are able to have conversations kindly, calmly, with compassion, and open minds and open hearts. So it is important, it is very important to recognize where what you think are limitations or flaws give you good things in your life. Recognize how what you see as limitations or flaws just as much contribute to the good in your life as anything else. And then if it doesn't, if you really can't see how something you consider a limitation or a flaw might contribute to the good in your life, then ask yourself, what can I do to change this so that I am not perpetuating more badness in one's life, without feeling like you have to hate any part of yourself to love another part of yourself. Because if it is a part of who you are, I guarantee you it contributes to the good just as it contributes to what you think is the bad. And if it is something you're doing and not part of who you are, then, as I said before, you can change it. So, make this list of the things that you see are flaws or limitations, and then categorize them as, is this part of who I am, or is this something that I do? And then once you've done that, look at the list of the things that you do and ask yourself, how can I do or go about these things differently? And the ones that are who you are, I guarantee you, if you think about it for long enough, you will be able to find ways in which those contribute to good things in your life, just as much as you think they are the bad things in your life. Thank you guys for joining me for another video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description. That includes working with me one-on-one, my Patreon, dōTERRA, and our dōTERRA Witches group, and so much more. I think I'm almost ready to put my survey out, so I will be putting out an email for my email list. Hopefully sooner than later. But if you've been waiting on that survey for me, it has not gone out. You did not miss it. And I would love to hear from all of you, either in the survey, if you are part of my email, or just in the comments here, what you would like to see me do more of, or do videos on at all. And yeah, may the energies you serve you well. If you would like to learn more about dōTERRA also, you can sign up for a free clarity call. Whoa, brain fart. That is something else that my clarity call is used for. You can either use it for asking me questions about one-on-one, or you can also use it to get things like our custom enrollment kit that we've got going on right now for dōTERRA. So if you'd like to learn more about dōTERRA, or you'd like to learn more about working with me one-on-one, check out my free clarity call. That's a link down in the description. And let's keep making our way through.